Hello everyone, welcome back to Be the Hope. It is Wednesday, May 20th, Wednesday of the 6th week of Easter. Have you ever felt like your heart is just going to explode? It's going to burst because it's just so full. I've been reflecting on those moments a lot today, moments especially of joy where I just can't even express the joy that I'm feeling. It's just welling up so high in my soul that I feel like I'm going to burst, like a balloon with too much air. I mean, sometimes we can also burst because of sad emotions, of anger and things like that, but especially with joy. Just take a minute now to recall one of those times where you were just overwhelmed by joy and by gratitude. Those, I think, are some of the most powerful emotions. I've been thinking about these times, especially today, because of what Jesus tells us in the gospel. What he says in the gospel is that he has much more for us to know, but that we can't bear it now, and that the Spirit, when he comes, will reveal it to us. I think this is sometimes kind of hard for us to hear as humans. A lot of times we hear that Jesus has more for us and we think, well, I can handle it. I'm strong enough. What's so intense? What's so confusing or whatever? What is so much that I can't handle it right now? Of course, Jesus is God and he knows what's best for us, so he knows that we can't handle it. But we like to think that we can handle it. I like to think, though, that Jesus isn't talking about a truth that we can't understand or something that is too much for us in the sense of like we wouldn't be able to live it out or it would be too scary. That might be part of it. I think maybe he didn't quite tell the disciples everything in that moment because they might have been afraid. But I like to think that Jesus was talking about joy. I like to think that he was talking about the fullness of the joy that if they really knew everything about him, if they really had everything revealed to them, that they would just burst. People say this oftentimes about the Eucharist, that Jesus had to reveal himself to us in the form of bread and wine, because if we were to see him in his fullness, in his full divinity, like as he is, that we would just be too overwhelmed. We wouldn't be ready for it. We're not ready for it until heaven. I like to think that this is also part of God's plan for us, that he doesn't reveal the full plan for us right away because it would be too much, both in the sense of the challenges and the adventure and possible fear, but also the joy, that he doesn't reveal everything to us in that moment because it would be too much for us to handle. It would be too much joy for us to handle. All of those times where we're so confused about what God is doing, about where he's taking us, about what the next step is, I like to think that his reasoning for not revealing it to us in the moment is a lot like what he says in today's gospel, that we're just not ready for it yet because our hearts will burst, because it is too much. It's too much for us. He's too much good and joy and beauty for us to handle right now. But that's so much hope, right? There's so much hope in that when we one day are united with him in heaven, that we will be able to experience the fullness of his glory, the fullness of his beauty, and we will just be overwhelmed, but not to the point of exploding, just to the point of full, utter joy and gratitude. That's what I like to think heaven is all about. So today, ask God to continue to reveal himself to you. Ask the Holy Spirit to continue to reveal God's heart to you. But know that in heaven, you will see the fullness of his heart, the fullness of who he is, and be united with him fully. And your heart will be filled almost to the point of exploding, but not to exploding because you are finally able to take in the fullness of God. So today, let's thank God for the gift of the Holy Spirit, who slowly but constantly reveals God to us as our hearts are able to take it, and with such great joy in our lives. Know that you're in my prayers, and God bless the rest of your week.